You don't know where to start on your journey to financial freedom, but you don't even feel like you have the time to stop and learn because you're so busy. But you can't afford to postpone this any longer. The Inner Circle Live is created for you.
When you come to this event, you're going to learn what the biggest obstacle standing in your way is to becoming financially free. We're going to show you how to take that active income that you've been working on for so long and turn it into passive income, and how to do that in your sleep.
Go right now to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live. And don't forget the promo code podcast to get your discount today.
Have you struggled with trying to determine, how do I leave my job, the job that I've been dependent upon for my income for all of my working career up to this point, right? Maybe you've had multiple jobs, but to some level you've been dependent upon it. Maybe there's just been different resources, different investments that you've made up to this point that you've been dependent upon. And the idea of getting out of those, stop doing the 401k, right? Stop investing in the market. All of those things that we talk about on a regular basis that have become so easy for us, but seem so hard for you because you've depended upon those, right or wrong, up to this point. And you wonder, what does independence look like? Will independence serve me? Well, this interview today with one of our members, Ben Buzek, he's actually going to share with you both how dependence and independence literally saved his life. Let's jump in right now.
Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Wealth Without Wall Street tribe, so grateful to introduce to you one of our Inner Circle Plus members, Ben Buzek. Ben, so glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Joey, Russ. It's great to be with you. Thank you.
All right. You know the drill, bro. Every single time we bring somebody on the show, we ask the tough question, take people right to the climactical moment of transformation. And I don't know if this is it, but it was a very interesting story. So you're on a four-wheeler, you're going up a very small mountain road. You're thousands of feet up. Your bride is behind you on the four-wheeler, and you turn the corner and you hit a rut in the road. What happens next?
Yeah, so this was just a year ago from when we were recording, and scariest thing imaginable. You know, you're out of control, and you're a four-wheeler with the person that trusts you on the back end of it, and you're flying off the side of the mountain. At that point in time, the convoy of ATVs and side-by-sides that were going up that mountain, we were the last ones. And so my immediate concern was that we were by ourselves, and we were going to be by ourselves for a long time. Last thing I remember is trying to blurt something out to my wife. Hold on, here we go, something to that effect. And I remember her launching off the side of the right side of the vehicle. And next thing I remember, I came to, and I was laying on the side of a mountain, and I couldn't move. And it was the most excruciating pain. I tried to move my eyes just to see where I was and what was around me. I saw the ATV to my left. It had been stopped by trees and shrubs. And I noticed that I was leaning against a tree as well, a small tree. And I was able to hear my wife grunting because she couldn't get anything out. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get any noise out. But she was in that tree that I was leaning up against, kind of like a crepe myrtle sized tree. It was at that moment that I realized we are alone, and I was completely helpless. And for anybody that, believes in control or that they're capable of being in control of instance, I was completely helpless. Thankfully, we heard some voices, and unbeknownst to me at the time, but later I found out that the tour guide and the owner of the bed and breakfast we were staying at, they had come up around the bend of the mountain just in time to see us fly off the edge. And so they were able to come and start to try to find us. But because the pitch of the mountain was so steep, it was a very, very steep mountain, they couldn't see us. And that kind of began the rescue effort. Luckily, this was a marriage retreat. And so we had a lot of special bonding on this marriage retreat. It was with other special operations couples. And to make a long story short, Amy and I laid there on the side of the mountain for 2 hours before help was able to get to us because of the remoteness of this mountain in Montana. The couples that were on the retreat that just a few days before were strangers to us, but we had a commonality, our military service together. They went into rescue mode, and Amy and I became the mission. They saved our lives. They brought us up that mountain. A lot of heroism that day. They were able to secure a satellite phone because cell phones didn't work out in that area. And about 2 hours after the accident is when we were finally airlifted one helicopter at a time out of that area and brought to a hospital. At this point, we had already been away from our family for a week, and immediately the guide retreat, who was also a military veteran in the special operations community, reached out to my chain of command, my family, and everybody went to work there. And I would pause anytime you want. Please cut in because I don't want to talk and take up all the space. But that's when we got to the hospital, and the most amazing support flew into our family. Our great friends, extensions of our family that are also our neighbors, a gentleman I served with too, they created a meal train, and within 12 hours, family, friends, my daughter's swim team, like our community, they filled up that meal train, 60 days worth of meals for our family in just a mere 12 hours.
So you're in Montana, Idaho when this happens, and you guys live where?
And we live in Virginia, and so we're across the country.
Completely across the country, and your kids are in Virginia across the country, and you're in Idaho now in a hospital, completely dependent upon healthcare providers to take care of your life, while at the same time completely dependent upon friends, neighbors, strangers to some degree to take care of your kids.
It's a completely humbling experience because not only could Amy and I not function, move, walk, or anything, we were completely dependent on the healthcare workers to help us just live day to day. We were completely and totally dependent on family and friends. We were fortunate enough to have family lined up while we were on our week-long retreat to take care of our family, our kids, take them to school, practices, what have you. But now that got extended. And for an additional 3 weeks, for a total of a whole month, we were away from our kids. We were away from our dogs and people that, so I want to take a step back. I feel like, especially in our community and the inner circle, we want to give, we want to help others. We want to, we really want to see people go to the next level. You never expect it to come back to you until you are dependent. Like Amy and I were literally dependent on just day-to-day functions, let alone our kids. I mean, one of the things that I will never ever forget, and I'll be appreciative, is my oldest. He's a teenager at the time. He was a freshman in high school. He recognized the brevity of the situation, and even in the lunchroom of his high school cafeteria, when we got the ability to call him because we could physically talk to him in front of all the other high school students, he would still say, "Mom, Dad, I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at lunch." And because that was what his schedule permitted. But to have the courage to have that relationship with his mom and dad in front of, we've all been through high school, so we know how that can be difficult. But I was just so proud of him for that, and nothing against. All right, everybody had that. My mother-in-law, she was amazing. My daughter and my other son, everybody was just so thankful and grateful and supportive. And we were completely and incapable of doing anything on our own. So we were very dependent on everybody. It was a difficult process to include, the second time that I almost lost Amy in 1 week. The second time in 1 week, I almost lost my bride. we were completely dependent on others. I couldn't save her. And from somebody that spent 21 of 23 years of their military career in special operations, it's not really something that you train for. You expect to influence the situation. You expect to be able to do something, and I could do nothing. And so it was a very humbling time for me as a person, and then our family as a whole.
And there's no doubt, and it's amazing to hear this story, and it is, like as you mentioned, it's humbling. I want to challenge you, tribe, as you're listening to Ben. Where would your tribe be in the event of a situation like this in your life, right? Do you have the infrastructure, the community around you that would be able to step in for a month unexpectedly and take care of the people who are dearest to you when you're completely unable to be there for them? Like, that's a takeaway from this episode, tribe. Like, if you don't have that, you have an opportunity to build that, right? And that's a shout out to you, Ben, and your bride, that you guys are the type of people that someone would step in and do that for. That's amazing. And I don't want to like shift to passive income specifically, but I know from talking to you that you have a land business. And talk about what was happening during that time. You had this land business. What was happening while you were unable to, even hardly live?
Yeah. Thanks, Joey. I want to start off by saying, like, we didn't even understand how wealthy we truly are. Our having our health, and then the community we have, man, we are so fortunate. And because of our situation, as we're looking for financial freedom, as we're looking to, myself, I'm retiring from the military very soon. And so what's next for me? I started a land business. I followed the teachings of the Land Geek, and I jumped into that. And because of the maturity of my business, and it's still, as Mark would say, a baby land business, because of the maturity of it, though, I'd already outsourced a lot of help because I knew I couldn't do it all on my own. I was floored at my assistants, my team members on my land business. Even though I was being fed food by nurses, my land business was still moving because of my team. They were still closing deals. They were still, moving deeds and making things happen with little or no guidance. And that's not a testament to me. It really is a testament to the people that I've been able to surround myself with. If you find the right people, you hold on to those type of people.
Well, it is a testament to you because you help build that team. You help give those systems for them to follow, and them executing is a result of how structured they are individually, but also the structure that you gave them. There's a lot that we could unpack in this 30 minutes, and if we had way more than 30 minutes. But I want to draw a parallel right now. The person listening to you might have been and might currently be dependent upon their W-2, right? W-2 for their income, and being independent seems really scary and difficult, right? And for you lived a life in both camps. And so I want to kind of, break this out a little bit, if you will. So up until this point, right, being dependent upon healthcare providers, being dependent upon friends and families and neighbors to take care of your children, being dependent upon your land VAs to take care of your land business. How would you have looked at dependence up until that point?
That's a great question, man. I always had wanted to be an independent person since a very little person. My mom would tell you that I would answer the phone as a little kid. This is Ben, and like, oh, can we speak to an adult? I am a young adult. I've always wanted to be independent. I've worked really hard to be that. But what I realized when I came to understand is, fast forwarding to my military service, the stakes are high. the stakes are really, really high, especially in times of conflict. And you have to be dependent. You have to trust the people around you. That's a pretty profound thing, because again, the stakes are high. That is a little bit of a different dependence than on the golden handcuffs of a W-2, though. I think we all want to have a level of independence. And sorry if I'm steering away from the conversation, but the dependence portion of it is, I've been dependent on the military. I've been dependent on my mates to my left and right for a very long time. And I had to be dependent on people saving our lives and maintaining our family. All the while, the inner rebellious person that I have is always seeking independence. And so, maybe there's something to be taken away from here, that they coexist, independence and dependence.
If you've listened to our show for any length of time, you've heard us talk about infinite banking and how we were able to use that concept to create over $50,000 a month in passive income. But it's just not that easy to figure out, how does this all connect into my own personal system?
Stallion, that's why we created the passive income operating system, bro. It shows you how to turn active income into passive income. It makes all the steps come together. If you would like to get access to it as a podcast listener, we've never given this away in public before, go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/PIOS. There was nothing worse than walking into class when you're in school and the teacher saying, pop quiz day. Why? Because you were unprepared. Are you unprepared though for financial freedom?
Don't be. Find out how close you are by taking our 30-second quiz at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/quiz.
Oh, there's no doubt. And well, I love the theme of looking at your life as we have off camera, podcast. You've actually shared with me and Russ, and I think even some people listening would say, man, it sounds like he's been really lucky. Like, hey, you've mentioned that, hey, I was really lucky. What does that mean to you? Like, how does luck play into the scenario?
Luck for me, there's a philosopher, Seneca is a Roman philosopher, says that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And I consider myself lucky because I've poured a lot into my preparedness, back to the maybe controlling my environment, or attempting to be the person that makes everything happen. So I've been prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, and I can't explain it any other way than luck, that when those opportunities have presented themselves, I've found myself in a position to take that opportunity. Anything from my investing to my acceptance into this community, to just being, I feel like I'm a lucky person because of my desire to improve myself, to improve people around me. My love language is service. And so if I am serving others or a higher cause, that's my best version of myself. And when I'm in alignment with that, when I'm prepared for that, those opportunities just make themselves available. I like it too. If I'm going to buy a Toyota Camry, as soon as I tell my subconscious mind that, I start seeing every single Toyota Camry on the road, whether it's green, purple, red, whatever. Ooh, that silver one's kind of nice. Maybe that gold champagne color is my ticket. I don't know. But you see every single one on the road. And that's what I'm trying to communicate, is that once you have prepared yourself, those opportunities are vast and you see them everywhere. But it's also team sport. And I think that's where it comes into that dependence of others.
Your preparation, share what were some of those things that you've done to prepare yourself?
I think goal setting is a huge piece of that. I think knowing where you want to go. So in the special operations community, there's always a tryout type of thing, selection process. And I got some great wisdom from a mentor of mine once. He said, because this is a land navigation exercise, I mean, you have a compass and you have a map, and you have to find yourself in the middle of the woods, and you have to continue moving about. His advice to me was, Ben, it doesn't matter how fast you are if you don't know where you're going. That has always stuck with me, not just in the military sense, but in my personal life too. If you don't have a goal, if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter how fast you are or how quickly you get there, because the destination isn't determined. And so there's certainly a time and a place for a ready, fire, aim. But I think the bigger strategic things that you want out of life need to be a ready, aim, fire.
So you did some things to prepare yourself. Like, talk about specific steps, because the person listening to you right now could have been doing all the things that you've done to this point, but also, as you're listening, this is your first episode and you're listening because Ben's story is interesting. And you're saying, I would like to be prepared. I would like to be able to be quote unquote lucky, right? That I've prepared. My preparation is meeting opportunities. We mentioned that you built a land flipping business. What are things that led you both to that and other things that you've done that you feel like from a financial perspective, you've equipped yourself and made yourself prepared?
First, I would highly encourage people to be curious. I remember sitting on city bus transportation because I didn't have a vehicle, didn't have a school bus. I was trying to get to school. I would read prospectus from various wealth advisors or whoever, trying to understand how to get myself out of this situation, this financial, or get ahead in the financial world. So I've always been curious. I've always wanted to grow and educate myself. And I think that's an important part of it. I think you have to be adaptable as well. When you are adaptable, it doesn't matter what is thrown your way, because you're going to use your critical thinking skills. You're going to seek mentorship or friendships to help you work through those processes. And that creates an adaptable person. So curiosity, adaptability, and then back to that preparedness thing of mentally tough, physically ready, and spiritually open. I think when you have that combination of things, you might be really surprised at the opportunities around you, the people you meet. I mean, every time, I know you guys say it all the time on the podcast, but when you go and meet like-minded people, it is an amazing experience. That I've started going to live events in my real estate world and my investing world in 2018. And every single time I go to one, I walk away with friendships and mentors that have lasted years and will probably last a lifetime. That has been, I have like one of the most shy people you would meet, to be honest. I got stories on that too, if you want to delve into that, but forcing yourself to get out there and be around like-minded people is so refreshing. And it really helps to build that community that, again, going back to Amy and my accident, we didn't know we really had that support network until it was go time, and everybody stepped up in such huge ways.
Man, there's no doubt. As far as the preparation, it sounds like you had, like you said, you were curious. You had a vision of what you were trying to accomplish, and you were trying a bunch of different things. That led you even into live events to try to help navigate that. And then somewhere along the lines, you landed on land flipping. Was there anything in particular that you did to prepare that you was like, man, that's why this was a good fit for me, that somebody else could glean knowledge from?
I'm going to plug the Investor DNA. It's helpful because, when you come into, if we're seeking financial freedom, if we're looking for passive income to be bigger than our monthly expenses, there's so many different ways that can happen. For me, I've done multifamily, I've done short-term rentals, I've done single family rentals. I've come to learn that I personally am not built for the service sector. And so taking phone calls from tenants and what have you, that is not my strong suit. It's just not what I like. And so I think that's why I was so drawn to the land business, because I can automate so much. I can get a team that helps me. And now I will say it's a lot more work up front than I anticipated, but it's been fun too to learn about this business and to grow it without the stressors that I had become accustomed to in other real estate fields. And so for me, it's just a good fit. And that's the most crucial thing I could give advice to anybody on is when you're investing, it needs to be the right fit for you.
The right fit. That's so good. All right. We're talking about preparing for the next step now, right? Like you mentioned that you were retiring here the next couple months.
Oh man.
What does that look like?
In words, exciting, nervous. If we're following the 5 stages of grief, I'm full cycle now. So, the accident kind of that made the timeline speed up. It quite frankly did, and so there was higher expectations of me from myself, and then also from my military family that I had many more jobs I could have completed. However, this accident was like the nail in the coffin for me, and now it's gone from a area of concern. And again, this goes back to my community of amazing people that I love and would do anything for because they have got me through some really dark times of wanting to still produce, but my body's not going to produce the way that is needed to be in the field that has been my whole adult life, my whole career. So I'm now no longer saddened. I'm excited because what it does is it gives me the opportunity to finally be with my family. I've had an amazing career. Wouldn't change anything about it. But there's I'm going to butcher it, but there's a Jim Rohn quote about if I had known the cost, I probably would have paid the price. I've missed a lot of my family's time, and if you look at the book that I produced or was produced with Kyle Wilson and a bunch of other great co-authors, it kind of goes into that how just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Well, just you were talking about the cost, the price that you paid, the things that you've lost, and I think it must be something that was in the book.
Yeah, it military service is never easy. I would say a harder job might be or is my spouse's job. Amy is incredible. I love her very much, and she's been through so much with me. But I got all the training I needed for my job. She never got any of the training she needed to be a single mom for 2 decades, basically, to see me off to war and then welcome me back home. She's a saint, man. I'm excited to be able to pay her back and building these businesses that allow the passive income to support that dream of being here for my family and supporting my family and financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, like all of the things. I'm just excited for the next chapter. So I thank you for asking about that, because I think that's part of that goal setting too, is what's next? What are you doing this for? Why are you taking action today? And it's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day, miniature details. But if every day we're chipping away at what our why is and what our goals are, that's super powerful. And I know I have to keep coming back to those, especially when the ruts happen or when you hit that rut.
Man, proverbial rut, in your case, the literal rut. That man, it's super powerful to hear the story. I do want to point to one thing you just kind of glazed over was the book that you wrote. Talk about why the book and how people can get access to that, because if they've heard your story so far, they're not going to want to miss this opportunity to get a chance at that.
Yeah. So I've had the great pleasure of being on a project with Kyle Wilson, Chris Gronkowski, NFL player, Shark Tank guy, Dennis Whaley, Ron White, 3-time memory champion, like a whole host of amazing authors. I think there's a lot of authors, but the name of the book is called The Transformational Journey. Our publisher, Kyle Wilson, and the editor, Takara Seitz, they did an amazing job with this book, and it's a #1 bestseller in over 60 categories on Amazon. And we're just so proud of that project. a lot of the author or all the authors, pour themselves into this book. And so I encourage anybody that's on their own journey to read those stories. There's a lot of great takeaways and ideas and people that are out there wanting to help. So, thank you for that opportunity. And for me, it's just been a way to be, it's really been part of my healing process through tragedy, like my accident that we were talking about on this podcast.
Well, and you so graciously provided people to get a free part of the book, like a chapter from it. If you guys are interested, go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/Ben, BEN, to get access to that. You can also purchase the book directly from Amazon on that site and connect with Ben. Ben, if it's okay, just we'll put like your LinkedIn or any way that people can connect with you there. So just wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/Ben.
What a great book. I'm excited to read about it. I actually had a chance to meet Ron White. He actually remembered Joey's name. It's easy to remember my name. He does have a great memory. He remembered Joey's name.
Now, was that his actual name or his handle of Stallion?
We didn't tell him about the Stallion. That would have thrown him off. But Ron White, very, very interesting guy. From a service member's perspective, I know you appreciate the ability for him to remember all the names that were lost in some of the Afghan, Iraq War, Gulf War. I'm not certain exactly. I can't remember the details there, but I remember. My memory is not so good. I just remembered fantastic brain, somebody that I'll enjoy reading his story right after I read your story. Ben, thank you for coming on, sharing, being open to share, right? This is probably a little bit hard to share, but also good to share. And for you listening, you're trying to figure out, how does your story compare, right? Most likely, you probably haven't had the same sort of experiences that Ben has, but what you might have had is a dependent story where you've been dependent in a specific way, both good and bad. And you're questioning the independent route, and you're trying to figure out, does that match your investor DNA? Is there a way for you to build a tribe? Is there a way for you to build passive income that you could be dependent upon instead of an income stream? All of those things are available to you. Just go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/free call and jump on a call. And then I would encourage you to join us at the next live event where Ben was sharing, meeting people, connecting with people, and how that's transformed his life and helped him grow as an investor. You can go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live and put in the promo code podcast to get a discount. Ben, we appreciate you, brother. As always, good to be with you.
I appreciate you guys. Your community is second to none, and I will see you at that live event. Can't wait, guys. Thank you so much for your time today.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.